Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, it's about 5:47 p.m. Pacific time, and I know I should be watching either the Niners preseason game against the Texans or watching NXT Takeover. But I'll watch some of the Niners later, and I'll watch Takeover probably on replay. Right now, I'm pretty sure from what I'm hearing, it's going to be a good show to watch. Um, but I thought I'd come on here because you see the title of this live stream. And yeah, it's pretty much true. It's been nearly a week, and almost for a majority of this week, we as consumers that have laptops like the one I'm using now, or regular PCs, regular computers with towers and all that. A lot of us have been dealing with something this week that's been really bugging us. And it's not just been bugging us this week, it's been bugging, from what I understand, from what I've looked up, it's been bugging people for majority of this year. And I don't know if it really started to crackle a little bit, really start to simmer and get on people's nerves and be annoying late last year. But this year was really like, okay, we get it. And what I'm talking about is basically, as you can probably read with the description and stuff, Microsoft decided to roll out this week not one, not two, not three, but four updates. And the reason I'm constantly checking stuff right now as we speak is because pretty much I don't really trust Microsoft when it comes to the PCs or Windows 10. Not saying, now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I understand why Microsoft has to do this. I understand they have to update Windows 10, depending on what version you have, to make sure you get the best quality. Heck, they're even promising a more slimmed down version of the updates in the future, so it'll be quicker for you to get. It'll be quicker for us to download them and not have to worry about, okay, how long is this going to take, or something like that. But yeah, four times this week, or within a week, I should say, that we've had nothing but updates. Nothing but updates. And what is one of the main clues you know that you're getting an update? One of the main clues is, let's say you have your computer on. Let's say your computer's on, you've chosen not to put it to sleep, you're just going to let the screen go, blank, kind of go into standby a little bit, still on, not sleeping, but kind of the computer goes into blank, goes blank, right? But until you touch the mouse and then it comes back on, or you touch a key and it comes back on. Well, one way you will notice that you're probably going to be getting an update is if you do that and you're sitting on your futon or your couch or wherever your computer or laptop is, or wherever you have it. And the next thing you know, you start seeing the load light, because the load light would be right next to the power light, the load LED light, which would be right next to the power LED light. You start noticing that it's flickering rapidly, like it's on as bright. It's basically turned on as bright as the power light, indicating that you have power. You notice that it seems to be loading. And you're like, well, what is it loading, right? Well, if you do any research, you find out what it's loading is an update. And sometimes the update could be, according to what Computer World puts out, sometimes the update could be just a small non-feature security update. Basically, patches, little bug fixes here and there, stuff like that. Okay, fine. But then sometimes you end up getting that update that shows a big old blue screen, or not blue screen, but it's a big old blue box with a message on it saying, hey, the big update's here. You could choose when you want to do it, what time and stuff. Here's my question. Here's my question to anybody watching. Here's my question, and God forgive me if I say anything wrong. But here's my question. If Microsoft, Mac, or whoever plans to do a major update, okay, let's say Microsoft Windows 10 is in your software that you use on your computer. Let's say you use a Mac software or whatever. Here's my question. Why doesn't any of these companies let us know when and where specifically that these updates are going to occur? How do you think people, I mean, honestly, why don't they do it? Because what I was trying to say is, do you think people, honestly, older than me, that have to use a computer to do work, whether it's look up information for the business, for the job, to do homework, to do the college homework or the high school homework or whatever, well, mostly college or, businesses in general. How do you think anybody of any age, especially those that just want to use the computer on occasions just to learn it a little bit more, learn how it works, do this and that, but don't really have an understanding of what goes on? How do you think they feel when all of a sudden they see this big message come on board saying, hey, we got this major update happening. You want to download it now? How do you think they feel? They suddenly get that message and it interrupts their work. How do you think they feel, folks? They don't like it. Nobody likes it. Heck, there were several times that I'd be on my computer and I'd get that message. Doesn't matter if it's this laptop, if it was my Stream notebook I have, that I'm hoping to get fixed someday down the line, or my beast of a tower, as one of my former social workers told me or called it. I've had that happen on several occasions, many occasions, just like a lot of you probably watching have had. And you think to yourself, okay, why are you interrupting us to tell us this? You're giving us this option to do it at a certain time, but yet you're telling us to choose the option now, or else you're going to do it yourself. Doesn't make sense. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to say any of these companies that have this kind of software or similar software don't know what they're doing. I wouldn't say they don't know what they're doing, because they do. The only respectable thing that they should do, though, is let their consumers, whether it's people like me that use the computer for home use, like looking up information, stuff like that, or just to browse the internet like Facebook, Dailymotion, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, or Google to look up something, or even if it's people that use the other version of Windows for businesses, like schools, teaching, enterprises, like capital businesses, or business in the capital world of money making, Wall Street, stuff like that. How do you think they all feel when they get these messages? To me, it would be respectful to all of us that use any kind of any kind of version of Windows 10, or again, whatever software you use, if the company behind it at least comes up, gives us a message as to when and where the update's going to occur, so we will be ready for it. So we can expect when our computer might be ready to slow down or not to be around our computer. Because let's say a company that distributes the software says, is respectful enough to say on August, or let's use this month for example. Let's say like today, like August 18th, 2018. If if they were respectful enough to say that at this time or on this day between noon and midnight, you might want to probably avoid your computer because we're going to start loading up or downloading an update for you to upload. Oh, not down. What I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to get at is, I think it would be respectful if they basically said, look, at this time, on this day, between this time frame, you might want to stay away from your computer. If you start noticing your computer acting up, don't worry about it. It's just we're uploading the update necessary to it. So you might want to avoid your computer for a bit while we do the update, and then possibly respectfully say, after that's done, maybe give us a time frame or length of time of how long the uploading of the update takes, and then tell us respectfully to update and shut down the computer so that the update can be applied. Basically, if these companies could do something like that, a lot of us would be more understanding of it, because a lot of us would basically be like, okay, at least they're letting us know ahead of time as to what day and possible time frame the update's going to occur, so we can be away from the computer. And if we go somewhere, just leave the computer on and let it do it. But I think the best option they should also give, if they were to do that, is to give us the option to basically let it be update shut down, not update restart. Because from what I understand, a lot of people pretty much have said that update and restart is not the best direction to go in. It isn't. It's not the best direction to go in, because technically, your computer will work, but it kind of messes up a little bit. I've had several occasions this week and in the past to where my computer I've basically had to press the power button and force the power off on this computer just to get it to work right. And I've had to let it do its own, and I've had to be patient to let it go through the whole process of scanning and repairing the disk drive. All because of the fact that when I left the computer on, it would update and restart without me being here. But you know what's funny though? It seems that our complaints have not fallen on deaf ears. No, it seems that anybody, whether it's consumers, business insiders, business workers, people that use any kind of version of Windows, for whatever, whether it's for business or for home or for schooling, it seems that all of us have had reasons to complain about Windows 10. Because there have been times Windows 10, even though our computer will be up and running, it takes us several times for it to work. Sometimes we have to basically disconnect all our USB connections to it. That includes our external storage. That includes things like an external storage unit, like what I have over here. That includes possibly the Ethernet cable that we use for internet. And I do apologize if there's any lag. I am using the Ethernet cable, not Wi-Fi, and the Xbox and the Xfinity XB6, which is more about the Wi-Fi, kind of gets interrupted when other people jump on their Wi-Fi signals. I don't know why. But what I'm saying is we have to end up disconnecting any external or external things from the ports just for it to get rebooted, scanned, and repaired properly so we can be used. The point is, none of us should have to go through that. And heck, for me, and like I said, I had to go through that this past week, and if not in the past period, and we shouldn't have to go through that. I mean, true, it didn't help that last week someone ran into a pole and it kind of temporarily, and it for about a couple of hours, temporarily knocked the power out here. And my computer was on at that time, so that didn't help. But the point is, we shouldn't have to go through all that. And another thing is, we shouldn't have to shut down our computers after an update. The update should just, because when they give you the option to update and shut down and update and reset, a majority of us will use update and shut down as the safer option. But a lot of us shouldn't have to shut down our computer again because there's a little bit of a stagnant delay in the typing or in parts of the internet browser or whatever. Basically a slow up. We shouldn't have to shut down our computers again just to get it to run at regular capacity. We shouldn't have to worry about that. What needs to be done is companies like Microsoft, Apple, Mac, anybody that supplies software similar to Windows 10, if not identical, needs to basically make sure that if they're going to do an update, to make sure they test the update first before they send it out to people. They need to make sure they do that, because if they do that, if they test the update themselves first and then probably see, oh, well, we can't send this out just yet because of this and that, then fine, you have to delay the release. But again, that would be probably the most respectable thing to do, because you know why? Because people would be more appreciative if the company that's releasing the update itself tests it out first on their own computers before they distribute it. But like I was saying, our complaints have not fallen on deaf's ears. They haven't. And I'm just checking there because, like I said, I don't really trust, Lord forgive me for saying it, trust Windows 10 right now, Microsoft that is, because you never know. I mean, I talk about 4 updates happening within this week. A 4th update happened today. Yeah. Yesterday, when I would let this go idle for a bit, it would still be on, but it would go idle, and the screen would go blank. I go over here, lay down, relax, be on my Kindle. The loading light would come on. And I'm wondering, and I already got the idea that it's going to do another update. Well, guess what? It looked like everything was okay today, and then it started loading again, to the point that finally I went over to the Windows icon, clicked on it, went to the power option, and what do you know? It says update and shutdown. It's like, seriously? You're going to do that? You just did an update about a day or so ago, a major one, that basically took, what, an hour or two to be done? It took an hour. I mean, it was an update that happened yesterday morning, and it took this long. And it took about, I'll tell you how long the April 2018 update took, okay? I'll tell you. It took about 2 freaking hours almost. 2 hours. It took 2 hours just about between the time I got up, turned on the computer, saw that it was an update, decided, you know what, I'm going to give it to God. I gave God all the glory, prayed that he made sure this update helped the computer to run smooth and safe. And he did just that, thanks to his gracious glory. He did just that. But then we get another update today, and it was just like a quick, that's it. There was no like percentage deal or working on deal. It's just like getting Windows ready or preparing Windows and then shutting down. That was it. Which would confirm it's one of those quick updates that we've been hearing about, one of those more slimmed down versions, or maybe just those quick security patch up updates. But again, I still had to shut down my computer again after the update because it was acting kind of slow. And it shouldn't have to be like that. But like I said, I turn on my computer, I let it do its update, I turn it back on so it can proceed with said update. And the update takes about almost 2 hours from the time I turned it on to almost, wow, what was it? Very close to when I was about to leave. My mom was going to take me to work because she had to go to the bank in Modesto anyway. Almost from the time we left, it was this. I'll put it this way, and God, if I'm exaggerating, I apologize, but it was about this, felt like it was this close. So I finally was able to turn off the computer after that. Yeah, that close it came. That's how long the April 2018 update took. You know, companies like Microsoft wonder why a lot of consumers do not like their updates. I mean, like I said, this year seems to have been the one year. Again, I don't know if it started simmering and really starting to come to a boil late last year, but it seems this year has been the year that people have not been happy with the Windows updates. It's like basically I've reading up on the updates this year. I've read online, even today, read online that people are getting as early as the beginning of this year. A lot of people are sick and tired of Windows constantly doing these updates. They want an option to where they don't have to worry about updates anymore. They just want to use the computer and that's it. I mean, to many people, honestly, and God forgive me for saying this, Windows 10 might as well just be an update software. That's all it is to them. It's just like you can't go a day, you can't go a week, or even a month without an update. And all they ask of Microsoft and those in charge is give us a freaking break away from the updates. We get it. And that if you're going to do an update, do one or two a year. That's it. Do one major one and be done with it. Don't worry about it anymore. And, it's like, I don't know if Microsoft. Gotta stretch here for a second, folks. Oh, sorry. It's letting me know that I'm online. I guess I subscribed to myself or something. I don't know. But like I said, that's how people feel. It's like we all get and understand why this has to happen. But, enough, but to a lot of people, enough. It's like to a lot of consumers, whether they're with home people like me or people that work in companies, businesses, whatever. It's like enough is enough with the updates. We get it. It's like enough is enough with the updates. We get it. You want to make improvements. You want to make sure Windows 10 is working fine. We get it. But if you're so concerned about Windows 10, why don't you do what people have been asking you to do? Just go out and make a new Windows software. Don't constantly keep relying on 10. It's like basically when you had Windows XP and Windows 7 and 8, you would try your best to keep those Windows softwares going and going and going until finally you realize, you know what, we just might as well make a new update or make a whole new software, period. And that's what people want. They don't want you to constantly update the same thing over and over again. It's like somebody basically, as some people, like let's say Joe Vargas. Joe Vargas of the Angry Joe Show, and I'm just checking something there. But Joe Vargas of the Angry Joe Show recently did a rant video on Madden 19 and basically explained that with a few exceptions, Madden 19 is nothing more than an updated game. A game that doesn't need is nothing more than an updated version of Madden 18. And then before that, Madden 17. That's all these. Basically, that's what Joe's saying. That all Madden 19 is just an update of last year's game. And what people have been saying, just like Joe, is if you're going to make a new Madden game, make a new Madden game. Do it. Give us a whole new game engine. Give us newer options, stuff like that. And that's the same with Windows. People have been telling Microsoft and other companies that have a software program similar or if not identical to Windows 10. They've been telling them, look, enough is enough. Don't constantly keep updating something like Windows 10, and go out and make a new software. Go out and make a Windows 11. Go out and make a Windows 12. So that way you're showing that at least you're putting effort to really giving people something new and different. Because all you're doing legitimately is doing what video game publishers do. You're just using the same engine over and over and over again. And sooner or later, you're going to wear that engine out to the point that the next time you use it and try to update stuff with it, it's going to hurt everyone. It's not going to be a popular decision. So if I'm Microsoft or Apple or whoever, I make sure that whatever I'm putting out in the future is new, and it is definitely all new. There's no, let's just repair and glue together and piece together the old engine, put some new stuff on it, and it'll be fine. No. You don't put a fresh new paint of coat on something just to cover up something. No. You want to give the consumer something to talk about and favor you about and be happy with you about. You give them all new software. You don't keep building upon the same one for years. I mean, this is the reason, Microsoft, you know this better than anyone. I was just checking something there. I mean, Microsoft, you know this. That was just my dog. She's kind of waking up from a nap. She's okay. But Microsoft, you know this better than anyone. You freaking gave us the Xbox One. And you basically improved on that by giving us the Xbox One X and the one I have, the Xbox One S. You improved on that. I mean, yeah, basically both systems, the S and the X, are pretty much the same console in a sense as the original, but there are vast improvements. And to your credit, you built a new engine when it came to Xbox One X. Because you were advancing with the times. I mean, you went from this, the Xbox 360, to that. Because you knew you had to evolve with the times. You had to grow with the times. And that is what people are saying. You need to grow with the times. You need to evolve with the times. Stop relying on using the same freaking software. Do what you know is best and create a new Windows software. Create a Windows 11. Create a Windows 12. And by creating them, basically, how do I put this? By creating them, by creating them, basically by creating them, make sure you make sure you don't make the same mistakes you did before. And that way, when you create this new software, consumers don't have to keep relying on update after update after update after update. Again, a lot of us understand why it has to be done. We get it. We totally get it. But when you have people constantly coming out and saying, "Hey, we're getting sick and tired of this. We don't want no more updates," then maybe it's time you created a new software that didn't have to be relied on with so many updates. I mean, yeah, you can come out and say that in the future, and in the very near future, very soon, we're going to get slimmed down versions of the updates that will be quick and to the point or whatever, and we won't have to worry. Fine. More power to you if you want to do that. But even that, and Lord forgive me for saying this, but even that may face backlash, not because it may work, it may work, and it probably will, but mainly because a lot of people are going to look at that as you just trying to extend the life of a software that basically a lot of people feel you need that basically a lot of people feel that it's time for you to move on from. And that's about it. A lot of people feel you need to move on from this software and then making a new one. You can't keep bringing out code Redstone 4, aka the April 2018 update, which surprisingly you bring out in around August, or the upcoming Redstone 5, whenever that'll be released. You can't keep doing stuff like that and think people are going to accept it. No, you need to start working in all new software. That's what you need to do. There's a lot of companies that use Windows 10, no doubt. There's a lot of companies that use a Windows 10-like program similar to what Microsoft has, courtesy of Mac or Apple, or whatever company releases it. And even they are probably wondering when and where the newer software is coming. Basically, when's the next Windows 11? When is Windows 11, Windows 12, the next level of software in the evolution of technology going to come? That's what they're wondering, just like a lot of us. And if you think we're the only ones that see the problem with the updates, Microsoft, with all due respect, and God knows I mean that, God knows I mean that. How about you hear it from one of your own people, Susan Bradley? This here is an open letter to Microsoft about poor Windows 10 update experiences. This is by Susan Bradley. She did this at the end of July. This was brought to everybody's attention at the end of July into the beginning of this month. Here's what, and this is from, I think, what was it? Bleeping Cool, I think. I think it was Bleeping Cool. Let me check. Yeah, it was bleepingcomputer.com and Computer World that reported this. It was Bleeping Computer and Computer World, that, along with others, that reported this. In fact, Computer World was actually the first to report it. But this is a letter that Susan Bradley put out. And let me get a drink here for a second. But this is what the article says, and I quote: Susan Bradley, an 18-year Microsoft MVP focused on Windows patching and patch management has sent an open letter to Microsoft executives Satya Nadella, Carlos Piccolo, and Scott Guther, I'm sorry if I pronounced those names wrong, about the frustration Windows 10 users have had. Okay, basically this is what it says. Susan Bradley, an 18-year Microsoft MVP focused on Windows patching and patch management, sent an open letter to Microsoft executives about the frustration Windows 10 users have when dealing with installing new updates. This letter includes the results of a survey taken by over 1,000 consultants and over 800 consumers regarding their experience with Windows 10 updates. Continuing on, and I quote, "Being a Microsoft MVP in consumer security, Susan Okay, according to the person that wrote this, they have known Susan for quite some time and can tell you that she is somewhat of a legend among those who regularly support Microsoft products. Okay, now basically Susan gave the okay because this person saw the letter mentioned in AskWitty.com and posted at Computer World. Well, now this is what I think Susan said to this person on to Computer World or whoever. This is Susan's words, I think. And I quote Susan Bradley. It's due to increasing frustration with patching and patch management issues. I see consultants turning off updates completely as they see that as the only way they can have stable systems. Okay, let me reread that. This is what Susan Bradley said, I guess, in an interview about the letter. She says, and I quote, "It's due to increasing frustration with patching and patch management issues." This is what Susan says, and I quote, "I see consultants turning off updates completely as they see that as the only way they can have stable systems. I see server administrators saying that Server 2018 is fine except when you want a system that doesn't reboot." She also says that she sees Surface users get their machines catered with 1803 side effects with SSD drives. She also said, and she did this by email, that she sees more and more people saying that waiting to install updates is what one must do. All of these are unacceptable. We can't continue on with the status quo. And I don't know if you can read that right there. Let's see if we can get that in for you guys to read. Or if you could read that right there. But yeah, she's pointing out that, these updates, and I'll get into this in a moment, are not really necessary. Well, this is what they say. And this is what the rest of the article says, and I quote, "Common complaints among the survey respondents are that updates are not reliable. They contain features that most of the users don't need. Updates fail to install, updates cause crashes, or updates cause further bugs with installed software. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that many of the comments indicate that installing the consulted stream of updates was a risky undertaking and not one taken lightly. Now, continuing on with the article. Well, there has been no public response to her letter. Susan has told Bleeping Computer that she has been contacted by a Microsoft customer manager regarding the letter to tell her that they were looking into her concerns. And I'll get into that in a moment. Thankfully, Susan gave Bleeping Computer permission to repost her open letter to Microsoft executives below. They go on to say, anyone who supports or routinely finds problems with Windows 10 updates will definitely find it an interesting read. If you want to see a full-size image, the survey If you want to see a full-size image, the survey results, you can click on the images below. And I should provide a link, but you could look it up. That's what it's going to be under, open letter. Just go Windows 10 update. Just type in Windows 10 update open letter and you'll find it. But this is what the open letter that Susan put. And she put basically who's it to. You can see that as well. You can see that as well as to who she sent it to right there. Okay. Now, this is what her letter says, and I quote, Dear Sirs, this is Susan writing to the executives, or typing this letter to the executives. This is what she said. Excuse me there. This is what she says, and I quote, Dear Sirs, today as Windows turns 3 years old, Windows 10, that is. Okay, continue. Let me reread that. She says, and I quote, Dear Sirs, again, this is her open letter to the executives. She says, Dear Sirs, today as Windows 10 turns 3 years old, I am writing to you to ensure that you are aware of the dissatisfaction your customers have had with the updates released is Windows Desktop. Okay. Okay, let me reread that. Hold on. Okay. This is what she says to the executives, and I quote, Today, dear sirs, today as Windows 10 turns 3 years old, I am writing to you to ensure that you are aware of the dissatisfaction your customers have had with the updates released. Windows desktops and servers she forgot to put two, but okay, released to Windows desktops and servers in the recent months. The quality of updates released in the month of July in particular have placed customers in a quandary. Install updates and face issues with applications or not install updates and leave machines subject to attack. She continues on in her letter, and I quote, In the month of July 2018 alone, there are 47 knowledge-based bulletins with known issues. Some of these were stop issues, but most concerning were the .NET side effects with your own software. With your own software. SharePoint, BizTalk, and even Exchange servers were impacted by these July 10th updates. You can read that right there if I didn't read it right. Continuing on, and I quote, again, this is her open letter. This is Susan Bradley's open letter. She says, let's see. She says, I am a moderator on a community listserv that focuses on the topic of patch management, patchmanagement.org. Recently, many of the participants on the listserv have expressed their concerns and dissatisfaction with the quality of updates as well as the timing of updates. She goes on to say, I recently asked the list members to answer several questions about patching on Windows 7 to Windows 10. The full results of the unscientific survey, the full results of this unscientific survey can be read here. She provides a link. She says she urges the executives to take the time to read the responses, and that it showcases that your customers who are in charge of patching and maintaining systems are not happy with the quality of updates, the cadence of feature releases, and feel that it cannot go on as is. And again, it's like, and right there. We continue on. Quote, she asked several questions. These are the questions she asked. She asked, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, how satisfied are you with the quality of Windows updates in general? Many response were not satisfied with Windows updating in general. Question 2. She asked specifically about satisfaction of patching of Windows 10 specifically. Many response were not happy with the quality of Windows 10 updates. Question 3. She asked if Windows 10 feature updates were useful to the respondents' business needs. The response, many indicated that the feature updates were either not useful at all or rarely useful to the business needs. Question 4. She asked regarding the cadence of feature releases. Many of the surveyed response did not want feature releases as often as they were being released. And question 5, she asked if Windows 10 meeting the business needs. Most of the respondents answered that it was meeting their needs. So at least they got question 5, got a positive response. Then she goes on to say, and again, this is Susan Bradley's open letter. Finally, I asked an open-ended question as to what could be changed in Windows 10 to make it better for your business. And they gave a response to question 6 in a link. She said she also did She also said she did a similar survey for consumers. The results of the survey targeted to consumers were similar to the results from the consultants and patching administrators. The majority thought that the feature updates occurred too many times during the year, that they were overall not happy with the quality of updates from Microsoft. The full survey for Microsoft consumer customers can be found, with a link provided. She goes on to say that she goes on to ask the executives to take the time to read both results from the surveys of the administrators and the consumers. She goes on to point out in her letter that insider process is not identifying issues. She basically goes on to say that it appears that there is a breakdown in the testing process. The Windows 10 Insider process is not able to identify issues on released products. When your own products break with these releases, it is clear that current testing processes are not good enough. It is concerning when issues with Microsoft's own software releases have determinal side effects with other Microsoft software. Case in point, the recent Point Net 4.7.2 and Azure AD Connect that causes side effects and issues with a high CP. She says at one point you had a program called Security Update Validation Program that allowed firms with special non-disclosure agreements to test security updates ahead of their release. She says that she goes on to say that she urges the executives to increase this program and include a broader testing process. While your MCRC or your MSRC communication says that for best practices one needs to install updates immediately, but the reality is that the prudent patcher is waiting at least waiting at least a week, if not more, before they install updates. Hope you find this trend as concerning and disturbing as I do. Basically, she goes on to explain how people are just like, you know, not happy with, with any of the updates, any of the things that come up with the updates. She goes on to talk about the feature releases and basically, again, how some people feel that it's not really necessary on the updates, especially if you're using Windows 10 for business and stuff. Now, she does say this about patch communication, and I quote, this is what she says to kind of almost close out the issue. This is what she says. Starting in January of this year, with the release of Spectre Meltdown patches, there have been numerous instances where patching communication has been wrong. Registry entries detailed in knowledge base articles regarding registry key applications was initially incorrect and later updated, or vendor updates had to be stopped. In general, patching communication had been lacking. We in the patching community understand that the coordination with other vendors means that this communication process was not easy, but needless to say, communication and follow-up in the regards to side effects and known issues needs to be faster and more communicative. On a regular basis, it is difficult to identify if there are known issues with an update and if our firms will be directly impacted. Often, the patching known issues refer to unidentified third-party software, and we often must ask each other in the patching community if we were impacted and what vendors we were using. Clarity in documenting known issues would be greatly appreciated. And again, the other thing she talked about was the features. And again, that's mostly what she said there on the features as well. So if you want to look at that. Now, she wrote this on July 29th, I should say, 2018. However, here's what's funny. Microsoft didn't take it seriously. And if they did, it kind of does show, because the letter has been making rounds, but the poor reply was basically the same to Susan Bradley, a legend in this field, a legend in computer business, in computer science and whatever, I guess, in the field of computer updates and stuff, software updates. Her response was basically met with this. I don't know if you could read that. But yeah, their response, Microsoft that is, response to her was, yeah, we hear you, said customer, and we will take your concern into consideration. So basically, they gave her basically, according to that article, was a poor reply. Well, basically, that poor reply was they just treated her like a regular customer and not realized, oh, this lady's an 18-year vet in this industry. We need to, let her. We need to give her our full attention. That's basically about it. That's basically about it. And here's the thing. Again, we get why updates have to happen, but the common thing that Susan Bradley's pointing out there is if you're going to do updates, don't do updates that basically not everybody wants. Don't use an update to say, oh, let's add in this bonus feature. Let's add in this. Just if you're going to do an update, just do an update that looks at maybe the firmware and updates that if you have to do it. Or if it's a quick, let's check the security patch kind of update, do that. Don't be like, oh, let's use this opportunity to add in this bonus feature and that. The thing is, when you have someone like Susan Bradley come out and say, this, you need to fix this. You need to fix this right away because you are basically pissing off, excuse my language, guy, you are basically pissing off, ticking off, a majority of the business groups, enterprise groups that use Windows 10s for their businesses, for their enterprises. When you're starting to tick them off, as well as you're starting to tick off your consumers, that's not a good sign, and you need to address that situation. And again, I think it comes down to the fact that the time has come. 3 years. Yeah, 3 years, you might say, oh, that's not long enough. Windows 10 is fairly new. Okay, fine. Windows 10 is fairly new. But here's the thing. Software of any kind, after 3 or 4 years, companies start considering what's the next step, what's the next software, what's the next console, stuff like that. And that is what Microsoft needs to start doing. Yeah, it's great. It's turned 3 years old and it's been doing its job the best way it can. I mean, the only positive that came out of that survey that Susan Bradley took to the or Susan Bradley had these business individuals, these business insiders take is, yes, Windows 10 is meeting their needs, but it's all these other things that need to be addressed. And what needs to be addressed is the updates need to stop up and be fixed to the point that if you're going to do updates, do them to where it's just, let's check the security, be done with it, and that's it. And not, or basically don't always constantly have updates every month. Choose when they happen. Choose when they really need to happen. In other words, if you just want to do one little security update in April, like in April of this year, then wait maybe up till, I don't know, when you decided to bring out the major update this month to do another one. Maybe wait a couple months. Don't decide every month we got to do it, because it gets annoying. And sometimes it is noticeable that you take that opportunity as well to say, hey, let's also add in some new features. And you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't. I mean, again, the biggest complaint, I think, hopefully, the biggest complaint and issue that I have, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, is I have to shut down my computer again after the update has fully loaded, whether it's a small one or as recently a big one like the April 2018 update was. I have to shut down my computer again just so it can run very smoothly. I mean, yes, I thank God that no issues have come up yet. Thank the Lord. Thank you, God. I give him all the praise in the world. But the point is this. But the point is this. If you're going to do these updates, you have to manage the updates more correctly, and you got to make sure these updates don't have any issues. As well as give the consumers and the business insiders, whatever, the option. Here's the thing, you give these people these business companies and stuff, all these executive kind of people and all that, the option to turn off the updates, right? Why not give that to consumers? Don't just give the consumers the ability to temporarily disable updates for a couple of hours or several hours. Give them the ability to do it right away. To do it for at least maybe 60 days or something. So that if an update comes around, they can choose if they want to do it, if it's necessary. That's what Microsoft and any other company that has a similar software needs to do. And again, when you have someone like Susan Bradley, who's been in this field for almost 2 decades, come out and say that, hey, you got a problem here, that's not a good sign. But again, let me say this in closing, I should say. Sorry. Let me say this in closing. I understand, like all of us I completely, like a lot of us, understand why these updates have to happen. It's to make sure things are up and running properly. It's to make sure that our security, our privacy is working, is the security and our privacy is secure. I understand it's to make sure the software is up to date, the firmware is up to date. I understand that once in a while we're going to get a major one that's going to basically give Windows 10, that version of Windows 10, an overhaul. I get all that. I understand all that. But a lot of folks are saying that enough's enough. You either got to manage these updates more correctly and respectfully, or what's going to happen is someone's going to come out and create a software to where people don't have to worry about the updates as much as they do here. And you can make the promise that you're going to give slimmed down, faster updates, faster version of updates in the future that basically don't fandango, or not say fandango, but jeopardize someone's computer. Or they don't have to wait too long for something to be updated. And that's great if you want to do that. But you know what? If that's what you're planning to do, that's something you should have done a long time ago. So hopefully Microsoft, Apple, Mac, anybody else that has software similar to Windows or identical to Windows 10, hopefully you guys will listen to your consumers and give your consumers what they are asking for. You either manage the updates more correctly and respectfully, and if you got a major one coming, at least let the consumer, the customer, or anybody that uses your software know in advance when it's coming and what time frame it's going to be coming in during, like what day and basically what time frame it's going to be coming in during. As well as let them have the option of shutting down the updates if they don't want them. And if they have to update them, and if you feel it's necessary that they need to turn the updates back on, send them a message, shoot them a message through the notification saying, look, this is coming, it's necessary you do this. Give them the option to want to do the update when they want. The consumer, that is, when they want, not when you want. And most of all, it's time to start looking towards the future and working on a new Windows software, a Windows 11 or Windows 12. Because quite frankly, people are basically saying enough is enough, and we have had it with everything that's happening. So hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, Microsoft, companies like Microsoft, Apple, Mac, or whatever that have software that's identical and similar to Windows 10 will take everybody's concerns, criticisms, and what Susan Bradley had to say in that open letter seriously and start doing things correctly when it comes to their updates. Because shouldn't have to deal with nearly a week of updates, almost 4 out of the 5 days of that week. So hopefully, God willing, give all the glory to God, give him praise, give him a prayer that this works out and Microsoft will hear what we have to say and take it seriously. So let me know what you guys think down below. In fact, let me check if any updates came in. Yeah, I hear you, James. I think a lot of people hear you. But again, hopefully Windows will listen. Just pray to God. Just pray to God. Ask him for Windows to list for Microsoft, Apple, Mac, any company out there that has these kind of softwares that they install or pre-install into a computer that gets sold in stores to listen to what the customers have to say, the consumers have to say, and realize that if they want to keep the consumers around, to start doing things more respectfully. So, but that's all I'm going to say, guys. Thank you all for watching live. Really appreciate it. And that's about it, guys. So I will talk to you all later. Thank you all for watching. Peace out. God bless. And let me know what you all think down in the comment section below.